right, I should be live now. Let's see if people can see me and hear me. Oh, it looks like, okay, wait, now I gotta turn my volume off. I can see me. You guys let me know if you can hear me okay. So just so everyone knows, I remember how I fucked this up every time. I just fucked it up again, and I went live on a wrong link that I was like, hello, where's everybody? But now I'm on the right one. So can you guys hear me okay? Okay, you can hear me. You can hear and see me. The sound is a little low. Okay, I can make that a little louder. So let me know how that is. So guys, I'm very excited because today I have the privilege of hanging out in front of you guys with one of my favorite drummers, who's now one of my really great friends. And I thought it would be really neat for you guys to experience us talking to one another about our influences and, especially me, about how he influenced me so much and like all the stuff that we're into and like our lives. And is the sound still a little low? It's better. Okay. So without further ado, my good buddy Morgan Rose is calling in. Hey! There he is. What's up, dude?
There he is. It's so good to see you. I love you. I miss you.
I miss you too. I do this thing now where every time that I don't know about you, but like I always wear the same clothes all the time. Like I have an outfit. My girlfriend likes to say that I have an outfit and I'm like a cartoon character. And I buy like, I have this pair of shorts that's like my go-to and this tank top, and I buy like 30 of each, and then I wear them all the time. So I started noticing that I would often show up with the same attire. Well, to be fair, my people watching started making comments about how I always had the same stuff on. And I was like, oh man. So I didn't know what to wear. I was like, there's only certain things I'm comfortable in. So what I started doing was I have a closet full of shit that I bought when I was on tour or like fucking wasted or something, that I was like, oh, I need to own this, and I've never worn it. So every time I do one of these now, I pick out something I've never worn before, and you get the Pamela Anderson Baywatch sweater.
We were just talking about the whole Baywatch thing like 2 days ago.
What were you talking about? Did you see the new Baywatch movie?
No, but we were talking about that. My friend Fluff, we were out at Venice, and he goes, "Whoa, is that a Baywatch vehicle?" And I'm like, "I don't know, dude. I'm not a big Baywatch watcher." But and then he started talking about the movie and all that stuff.
I wasn't a big Baywatch watcher either. I mean, I just thought this was like really ridiculous. And
of course,
I know that I'm not going to become trying to make you in a provocative conversation or situation. But when I came across this, I was like, oh, you're friends with Tommy Lee, and then this makes sense that I'm going to wear this Pamela Anderson shirt for our hang.
Of course.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So, very first thing I want to talk about, I've been dying to ask you about. I've been dying to ask you about what you're doing. Like, you're working out every day like crazy. And this is something that I'm just struggling with myself, and I feel like a lot of people struggle with. And I just watch you. You keep posting, and you're like, day 90 or whatever. And I'm like, holy shit, he's doing it. And you're talking through it. I'm quite a bit low. I'm still fixing my audio. So you're talking through it like you're really like, I made myself do this today, and this is where I'm at. And like, I appreciate it so much what you're doing, but I want to hear from you, like, what's inspired this? What's it like? Because today I was like, I'm going to work out today, because I just started working out again. I was like, I'm going to work out today, and then I'm going to talk to Morgan about working out. And then I didn't get to. So now I'm like hoping you can inspire me to work out when we're done. So go.
It's such a weird thing. It's like, it was nothing to do with like getting in shape or trying to, look a different way or anything like that. It was strictly, I was self-destructing a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
and no drugs, no hardcore drinking or anything like that, but just this weird thing where, I mean, I had a gambling problem, uh, but really it was just kind of like, what's my routine? I wake up in the morning, maybe I'll go to the gym, maybe I'll take a walk. Uh, Usually I'll just put the TV on, go and do something, get something to eat, come back to my house. This is when I'm in Atlanta, and I'd get back to the house and kind of sit there and just slug out, and then I'd start looking at the players and what was going on, and I'd put together some DraftKings teams or some shit like that, and it was a miserable existence. It was like just not doing anything, and no motivation, no nothing. So one day I said, I'm just going to stop and I have to do something else. So that was what I went to bed with. I woke up in the morning. I'm like, okay, cool. So today's the day I'm going to do something different. And I sat on the bed and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. Like, nothing. And I only went to the gym to kill some time. Like, maybe I'll figure it out while I'm at the gym.
Uh-huh.
And I felt good. Like I left the gym that day and there was something different about it where I was like, okay, I think maybe I'll go for a bike ride or something. And then I left there and I was like, okay, I think I'm going to go get some painting supplies because I always wanted to kind of screw around with that. So then I go do that. And then I'm filling my whole like living room with art supplies and shit. And then I'm like, man, I got to clean this closet up, So I clean that thing like I'm on meth, just like scrubbing every little area, and I'm like just crazy manic. So I ended up, it became nighttime and I put a movie on and fell asleep, woke up and I went, I think I'll go to the gym again because that kind of triggered me to get motivated for the day. And it happened again. And then I'm like, well, that seems like what's working. So I went a third day and then a fourth. And I was talking to my shrink and I was like, this is what I'm doing. And he goes, it takes usually about 40 days to break a habit. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to go to the gym for 40 days straight. And that was really it. And then I got to 40 and I called my girlfriend and I'm like, well, I did 40 and I was kind of depressed, like, what am I going to do now? She's like, well, do whatever you want to do. I mean, you don't have to stop, but you just, if you want to go, you go, but just whatever. And I'm like, I got excited. I was like, I think I'm going to make it 100. I mean, this is not the proper way to work out, but
What do you
it
mean
had
it's
nothing to do.
why is it because you're doing it every day, you mean?
Yeah, it's like your body needs time to heal, and needs time to like get used to this change and all that. I mean, there's no professional would tell you this is like a great idea. But then we started, she's a trainer and she's an absolute gladiator in the gym. So she started, she was putting together workouts for me. And she would set it up to where, I'd have cardio days and stuff like that. So it wasn't just about going in there. And I wasn't like, the meathead that's in there. Oh, yeah, dude. Looking in the mirror. I think my neck muscles are a little stronger today. It's like it wasn't about that at all for me. I mean, there were so many people that were like, dude, I want to see the before and after. I'm like, I'm probably fatter.
Well, it's
I
fun.
mean,
Yeah, that's exactly what I saw like 2 days ago. Someone had asked you, and your answer really inspired me so much. You were like, "It's not about that for me. It's about like this," and like,
yeah, no question.
yeah,
Yeah, 100%. Had zero to do with any of that. And then my dad and more my dad than anything, he was like, "You'll see, you'll start looking at yourself in the mirror because you'll start seeing some changes." And I mean, since I wasn't really paying attention to that, it was my girlfriend who said, "Oh, your arms are getting bigger," and I was like, "Oh." They're still like twigs, but I'm like looking at it like I think it is getting a little bigger, It was just those were the little bonuses and residual benefits, but the whole thing was really about get your head right. And it was weird because at like maybe 70 or 75 days in, I was doing production work in Illinois, and I'd get up in the morning and go to work, and then I'd do the workouts at sometimes midnight or 1 in the morning. And she reminded me recently, she was like, I think that you lost the reason why you were doing this. This is really now all about you checking a box. I got another day in a row. I got another day in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And it had nothing to do with, you remember what it was? It was you waking up in the morning and starting your day like that. So I kind of realized it. I didn't really understand what she meant at first. And then I'm like, of course, that's exactly what it is. And now I'm back to that. So I took 1 day off after 103 days, and now I'm like six straight again.
Are you bummed out that you took the day off?
A little bit,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, what am I going to do now? But now that it's cool though, because there isn't a box checking thing. It's not. I already stopped. For a day. So
Yeah.
now it's like I'm just going to be active every day. It's got to be early. Yesterday I went to the gym here at where we live in Marina Del Rey. The day before I did like this interval cardio sprinting and thing in the street. I almost got hit by a car. But and then today we went to the park and we, did that same cardio thing at the park today.
Right on, dude. It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get the same thing. Like if I don't do it early in the day, it's so crazy because I feel like everyone can relate to this. Like it's so hard to get to just start. But then once you start,
Yeah.
you're like you don't stop and then like you just get so stoked as the more stoked you get as you're like getting closer to finishing. And then when you're done, you feel like you could take on like the everything. You're like I fucking
Yeah.
did that. Now I can do everything. So
Yeah.
when I do it late at night too, it's the same thing. Like I tried to do it yesterday and I didn't do it, and then I was like, it'll be better if I do it in the morning. And now again, like
Yeah.
I didn't do it. What I'm doing right now is I have this cycle. A friend of mine said to me like he said to me something once and it stuck with me, and he was like, if you stop, like if you miss a day or two or a week, don't beat yourself up over it. Just
Sure.
get back on the horse, and I do
Yeah.
that, and like so what I do is like I generally work out for anywhere from like a week to 2 weeks to a month is like my longest
Yeah.
stretch, and then I stop, and then like I start again when I can, and I just start the same program over and over. So I'm always doing like the first few weeks of the same program, but it's good for me. Like every time I do that, I feel
Sure.
good. Um, I'm not trying
It's
to
all
get like
about the head.
yeah.
It has zero to do with the biceps to me. I mean, it's really, I was really fucked up, in the head, and it just helped me deal with the day because
Hmm.
I'm attracted to chaos. It's like in our business, it's there. So it's like, you've got four other individuals in your band to navigate. You've got management, you've got lawyers, you've got accountants, you've got children, you've got girlfriend, you've got money stuff, you've got pandemic that everybody has. I mean, everybody has shit. And in the music industry, it kind of really likes to get on you. So I just realized that the littlest things were getting amplified for me. It just happened the other day, where my father's sister passed away, and watching your father melt down is not easy. And so I was really beat up about it. Couldn't do anything for him, and I wasn't really prepared to handle that. So I get to California and I'm like, I'm cool. My girlfriend was in doing a record. She's an engineer, so she was working on a record. I was with our dog. Everything was cool. She comes home and is like, asks me a question about something, and I'm just like, "You're gonna get it."
You exploded.
Like, don't don't question anything because I'm fucked up and I'm not prepared to handle anything. And she's like, "Whoa, honey, like just please calm down." And I'm like, this is all this fucking shit, and I'm on another, and I wasn't me. And we got through the day, the night, and you know, I was like, "Fuck, man, sorry about that," you know, and really ever since then, it's been the best relationship, the best time in our relationship. We even said it yesterday. It was like, man, we're like on another level right now. But it's the brain, you know. My brain is fucking fragile.
Yeah, same here. And like, you know, for me, and I'm sure same for you, just this all this idle time is just dangerous, right? Like,
Very.
yeah. You're
You know,
getting go ahead.
no, it's like I never realized how much I needed it because I'd done it for so long. I really didn't even want to do it. I was like, you know, man, I've played 5 million shows for 20,000 years. You know, I've done everything and way more than I thought I would. So I'm good with this. You know, I'm totally cool with being domesticated and move on. And you know, I'll get to that music whenever it comes back. And it didn't take long, and I was like, I don't need the attention. I'm not a rock star in that sense. I don't need any of that. But there is this purpose where it's like you look into a crowd and you see people smile, jump, beat each other up, have a good night, and you're providing something. You know, you are bringing some happiness to somebody, and not being able to do that, that felt like that was my identity. I didn't realize was entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. For me, like to kind of circle back to what you just said, like as far as the chaos goes, I'm never home this much in like 20 years. And being
Yeah.
home, I realize how much I need that stimulation to be in like a different city every day and a different culture every day when you're in Europe and stuff and all the different friends you have all over the place. And now I'm home
Yeah.
and my girlfriend's like so stoked to have me home and I love her to death, but I'm just like, I've never spent this much time with someone in my life. You know, I always have like little
Yeah.
breaks. Um, so it's
Yeah.
been interesting, you know, in my personal life too, to figure out how to find a balance of like not doing what we're used to doing all the time. It's challenging.
Sure.
I think we're a
Yeah.
little we got something a little fucked up here. I think that we're used to because how
No
many
question.
how many people do like you know I used to try and make opportunities for friends when I first started doing this a lot. I was like, I'm finally doing what we did our whole lives growing up, and like I'm
Yeah.
touring and I want you guys to do it too. And I got people to audition for bands. I would get people crew gigs and stuff. And like 90% of them would freak out after the first weekend. I'd have to fly them home, or like, you know,
Oh
like
yeah.
not everyone's cut out for this, you know?
No question about it. Everybody thinks the glamorous life, and there's no question that, like you said, it becomes like we're institutionalized.
Hmm.
Um, there are parts of it that I'm like, man, I don't know what I can do without it. And then you had a year and a half to go, well, this is what you'll do without it.
Hmm.
And it's called you'll lose your fucking mind. Um, but it's weird. I mean, I've seen people, there are a lot of people that said, you're so lucky. And I'm like, you come out there for 2 weeks and live in a moving hallway,
Yeah.
you know, with 12 other dudes smelling like shit, you know, getting in your way, eating your food, getting hammered and breathing all over you. You know, it's like attitudes. You got 12 dudes, they got families and they have their chaos in their life too. And there's no like living room really to go into, or your own bedroom. Your bedroom, the lock on your bedroom is a snap on a curtain,
Yep.
you know, so there's not a whole lot of isolation.
So you're getting ready to go back out and start doing that again now.
I know, right? I just kind of bitched about it. And it's like, yeah, you're getting ready to go like in 10 minutes.
No, but like
Yeah, we're going.
everything you just said to me is like, yeah, I know that's awful, but that's what I love. I don't know. I
Yeah,
can't
that's
explain
it.
it.
It is, you know, there's a comfortability in that.
And
Yeah, we're getting ready to go.
And also, a really great thing about that lifestyle, and maybe that's why I have that weird quirk about like wearing the same outfit every day. It's like when you're on tour, every day when you wake up, it's not the same outfit to everyone that's not on the tour. No one's like, "Hey, didn't you wear this
Right.
yesterday?" Everyone's like, "That's a great
Right.
outfit. You look very comfortable, Joe." You know, and I'm like, "Yeah." So, dude, so I want to get into a bit like how like how much I love you ever since I was a kid and all this. But like so what I started doing over the past few days was I started trying to think about the first time that I saw you play live and like the shows that I used to go to. And I went down a pretty crazy rabbit hole and I discovered something that I think is going to maybe blow your mind, that blew my mind, that I think is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
The first time that I saw you play live, first of all, I just got to say there were two of the most influential people in my drumming career that I came across in this same year. It was you and Jamie Miller from Snot, and
Yeah.
Amber, one of my Patreon members, asked me to talk about Snot a bit, which I will. But the first time that I just want to preface this by saying to everyone, like the first time that I saw you play live, I'd never seen a drummer play like that before, and I played drums, and I liked drummers that I thought were good drummers that everyone liked, like Danny Carey and whatever. I still love Tool.
Sure.
He's a great drummer, but like, now that I am who I am and where I'm at in my career, I can recognize that he's a totally different type of drummer than me. Like, I can't do that. That's a different instrument to me. You know what I mean? So when I saw you
Sure.
play, I saw a drummer doing something that wasn't only resonating with musicians in a crowd, with other drummers. I saw a drummer whose energy was radiating towards every single person all the way to the back of the room, and I was like, this is it. I've never seen this before. This is something special. And that really, really changed my life. And I was trying to think of when the first time I saw you was, and I realized it was at a venue in New York City that doesn't exist anymore. I don't even know if you'll remember it, but it was a place called Coney Island High. Do you remember that place?
Absolutely.
And I
Roy
think,
Mayorga was running sound there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And he was
Yeah.
in Nausea at the time,
Yeah.
I think. Like he was also, this was right around the time he started playing for Soulfly as well, I think.
Yeah. It was right before that
So,
when we first met him. Yeah.
so I think that maybe, from what I gathered, this might have been one of your first tours you ever did.
Absolutely.
Like I think it was like some
Yeah.
CMJ show or something like this, and I was there.
That was like the CMJ show was like one of the, if not the first time we ever played there.
Yeah.
We played New York 13 times on the first record.
That's the other thing that I saw is like your tour cycles. Now I feel like it's a little different now. Like touring is a little more like methodical, and like you
Oh
have the
yeah.
A market, the B market, and then you go do this. But back then it was like, okay, this tour ends on this day, so we could start the next tour on this day. Like, is that how it happened?
Yes.
Because it looked like every month you
Yeah.
were playing in New York.
Yeah. I mean, there were some opening shows, but most of those shows were headline shows. Um, I used to tell people all the time, I thought that was the way that it worked. It was like we'll do an album cycle and we'll play New York 13 times. And it's like, no, you start playing New York and there's 15 people there, and then you come back and play because you've fucked those 15 people up real good. And then when you come back, there's 45 people. And then you come back and there's 105 people, and then there's 300, and then there's 600, and it literally went like that until the last show of the New York. It was almost like the last show of that album cycle, and it was us headlining. There was a band called Second Coming playing first. Kid Rock was second, and Godsmack was third, and we were headlining at Hammerstein, and it was sold out. And it was like, wow, in 21 months, we went from playing in front of 15 people at Coney Island High to 35 or whatever it holds at Hammerstein, sold out. It was a trip.
Wow. And then
Yeah.
so then what happened at that point? Then you take time off to make a second record back then? Like,
Yeah, back then we never went home, so you did the whole 21 months, never went home. Like we were home, I think 18 days in 21 months.
That's
And
insane.
then they're like, again, we don't know. And they want to keep that fucking iron going. It's hot right then. So they're like, well, they're depressed. How long do you guys need off, to get ready to do another record? And we're looking at each other. We're like, 2 weeks. And they're like, oh, okay. Yeah. 2 weeks sounds good. Meanwhile, we're all fucked up on drugs and alcohol, maybe not all, but I was. Uh, and there were other people that were having some trouble. And we did not need to be going in to do a record. We needed to be like chilling out and drying up. And we did 2 weeks off. And then we ended up starting writing. And we were right back in the studio within a few weeks. And then I think we had maybe a week or two off after we finished the record and right back out again for 18 months.
Wow.
It ended up we were out 38 out of 43 months.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
I oh man. I mean, and you had how long had you been into your career when you had a child?
It happened right before the second record came out. Yeah, so I had kind of started to get it together a little bit. There was like this peaks and valleys of my, psycho behavior. It was, we're all totally cool, and if anyone does hard drugs in this band, you're fired immediately. And then that rule changed very quickly, and it was almost if you don't do drugs, you're out of the band. and then and then it was like, we're off the road for a minute, and I have a child, and it's like, oh, I got to get my shit together. And then that was cool. I was cool. And then you're on the road for a million months, and it's like, hearing your child crying in the background on the phone, and you're like, I'll take one of those.
Yeah.
you know let's self-medicate ourselves through that guilt and depression. And then it would just do that for a while.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, I definitely the one of the biggest factors in me getting sober was having a kid for sure and getting my shit together. I just got to the point where, you know, my biggest fear aside from anything terrible happening to anyone in my family was something happening to me and not being there for those in my family, you know?
Yeah,
So I was like, it's funny. For some reason I always said to myself, I started getting fucked up when I was like 13, 14 years old. And I always
yeah,
said to myself, started trying to get sober when I was 18. I finally, this last time it stuck, and I was 36, but I had been saying to myself, at 40, I'm gonna stop doing all this stuff. Um, and it happened 4 years earlier. I'm super thankful for that, or maybe it was five. I'm going on 5 years now. But what I want to say about that's fucking crazy is that this thing that's happening now with the drugs, like it's
dude, it's
terrifying,
crazy. It's
and
crazy.
so many people I know that I used to have party with are dying, and it's
Yeah,
terrifying. And I'm so thankful that I retired before this epidemic is happening. But like, I don't understand. I keep trying to have people explain this to me. Why are people putting this stuff in drugs that's killing people? Like they're killing their
i
customers.
I don't get it. And it's so raw. It's like, I mean, the stories, my brother had two friends that were supposed to meet him for fishing. And, they didn't show up. So they went out and fished, and they came back. They went over to the house to give him shit. They open up the door, and both guys are on the couch, totally peaceful and cool, sitting on the couch, dead.
Jesus Christ.
Little plate with some Coke on it. And I mean, the thing is this started, at least for me, hearing about it during the pandemic. I
Yeah.
didn't hear about anybody doing this shit before then. And there are plenty of people that are on the road, that are in bands, that are in a different town every night, and that's how they get it. They just, hey, who's got some shit? And they don't know who's giving it to them. And I'm definitely worried about what that'll do to, you know, some of those people that still indulge in that world.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's terrifying. It's really
I'm
terrifying.
super happy that I'm not involved in that insanity anymore.
So am I.
Yeah, we're
Um,
safe, buddy.
so I wanted to circle back real quick to when I saw you the first time and your style and your, this crazy. On my last hang that I did with everyone, I showed some videos of you playing, and where did that come? Like for me, I saw you and Jamie, and I was like, wow. So, but like, where did it come from for you? Like, what made you do this?
So it's really interesting because a lot of people, like some of my closest friends are, you know, Jamie and Shannon and Roy, you, of course, you know, but a lot of people thought that, you know, we were working each other a lot back in the day. And I was like,
You mean like you were all hanging out, going, "Let's do this and let's do that."
yeah, yeah, like there was some sort of like contrived, you know, put together idea of this is how we're going to be and this is how we're going to play drums. Or you see, you know, oh, I like that move, I'm going to steal that, you know.
Hmm.
Never ever entered my mind once. What happened for me was I was always pretty shy, uh, one of those insecure kids that was probably trying to be funny and really loud because I was uncomfortable with everything about myself. When I played drums, I was super stale and square. Um, my dad showed me Terry Bozzio playing drums for Zappa when I was a child, and it was Baby Snakes and it was Punky's Boots. And I see this guy with purple hair singing some hardcore stuff, you know, and really being flamboyant. Um, I'm very close with Rainin, his son, and I was going to MI where I was flunking out. But I did get that bit of advice, which was, you know, your brain and your personality is over here, and the way you play drums is way over here. Super square, stiff. Why don't you let your personality out? And I was like, oh man, people make fun of that. You
Did
know,
Terry
they'll,
Bozzio say that to you?
yeah, that was the only thing that really stuck in my brain was, and I kind of put myself into this mode where it was, I felt like I was an unstable person mentally, and I wanted to let that out. So there were moments early on when I really didn't have that corralled enough to really control it, where I would do certain things that were super like dangerous and had fucked myself up a little bit. And I caught myself. I mean, I look at videos and I'm just like, oh man,
You
you
mean
know,
like
that's
while
so
you were
stupid.
playing?
Well, there were times where like, there were instances where like, I used to play my hi hats really high and the Tommy Lee effect, you know, like way up here. And one of my first texts, you know, I would just periodically get mad at gear, you know, like I can't hear the hi hats, you know, fuck these hi hats, and whack, and I just, you know, smack my head into them, and so then I'd be splitting my head open on these hi hats, and blood's all over the stuff. So he's like, so periodically he'd be moving them down so that I wouldn't catch him on the corner, and then I got mad about that. So then I tried to bite them one night, and I was trying to bite through brass, which is not going to happen. And then I hit the hi hats with my stick while my teeth were on them, and thought I knocked all my teeth out. So then, you know, we had to move them down a little more.
You
You
know what?
know,
You know what this sounds like? This sounds like how I explain why the plants are so high in my house because I have three cats.
yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, that's really the thing is there were, you know, I mean, I would be hitting my head against the wall before we'd go on because I was so wound up and terrified and like I was combusting, like I couldn't get to them fast enough, and I'd be hitting my head until I'd almost knock myself out from slamming my head into a concrete wall. And I missed that feeling because now I really don't have that. Maybe I will after being off for a year and a half, but that was really my whole thing. My whole thing was I am just free as can be. You're looking at somebody in the front row, and I caught myself one day, and they're singing all the words, and I'm just playing, and I'm mouthing. I said, "Yeah, you know all the words. Look at you. You get to sing all the words." And I'm like, "Go fuck yourself," for no reason at all. And then I'm like, "I'm sorry. I'm just kidding." They're like, "Look, I'm just kidding. Fuck you." You know, have no idea where that came from. Like I don't know.
Well, I think like
That's just
I think it's interesting to hear you explain it because I can really relate. When I'm in show mode like that, my brain is just fucking all over the place. Like anything that I've
yes.
bottled up my whole life, or that week, or whatever's going on, just starts pouring out from my soul. And yeah, and I always have to tell my drum techs like, if I scream at you during the show, I don't mean it. So the best drum techs are the ones
Yeah.
that get that, and they're always like,
Yeah.
the ones that in the middle of the show I start getting paranoid that they're gonna quit. Those are not the ones that work good with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, I've had them wanting to quit and crying and all kinds of shit. You know,
I
it's
had,
dangerous back there.
yeah, it is, it is. I've definitely hurt myself and a lot of my drum techs before, unfortunately. What are some?
I mean, I would don't know how the hell anyone would work for you. You're way worse than me.
Well, so I want to talk about one of the biggest questions everyone's always asking me when I do these is like how did we meet? So I want to talk about that. So um, you know I so
I was thinking about that today, and I
I
couldn't even remember how it was.
I remember it's one of my favorites.
Refresh.
It's one of the biggest
I mean, I
moments
know
of.
when I met you in person,
Well,
but
I'm going to tell you. I'll remind you because it was one of the biggest moments of validation for my existence. So, I was in Florida. I was in West Palm Beach, Florida, on tour, and I posted something on Instagram, like playing, and you commented on it, and
yeah,
you said something a little cheeky, like, "Oh, you're my favorite drummer," and I was like, "What?" I was like, "You're my favorite drummer," and you were like, "What?" And then you were like, you
yeah,
go, "Dude, what's your number?" And and I talked to you on the phone
yeah,
immediately for 3 hours,
yeah,
just walking up and
yeah.
down that, and and you got me. What was really like, people oftentimes would say to me, I'm sure you get this a lot too, like, "Oh, you're so good at drums, like Tommy Lee, or like or a million
Yeah,
other
sure.
dudes
Yeah,
that are not influential to me." And I'm always like, of course it's a compliment, but like I can never explain to people. It's like, but I feel like what I'm doing is so much more cathartic and from a place that I can't even explain
yeah,
than is worth me trying to explain. And you called me and you were like, you explained it all to me. And I was like, whoa, it was like talking to God for the first time.
oh God.
And like, wow, it was so cool. And you were like, dude, you are one of the people that play like me and these guys. And I was like, whoa, yeah. Like, and it's like one of the
It
guys are
there
telling
it's
me, you know?
dude, it's really it's rare. I mean, I've seen all the people do all the tricks, like I totally appreciate that, and that's all cool. But there's something about this when you see somebody and I'm like, "Oh yeah, there's a lot of shit going on in there." This is yeah, it's entertainment, and sometimes, I mean, to a certain extent, my insanity is somebody else's entertainment.
Yeah.
What the turmoil that's in here is something that's making somebody happy, but it also is releasing for me. I mean, when you put on your setup to go, I was so envious. When I was sitting in the bus with you that day and you were getting ready, I was jacked. I was just like, oh man, he's turning into the person now. Like this is where he feels comfortable, to be completely out of his mind.
There it is.
Oh, I fucking love it.
This is the first time we met in person, and we had talked on
Yeah,
the phone, and we couldn't connect for like a few tours, and then it was maybe a year later, and you finally came,
yeah.
and this is the
It
exact
was the
moment you're talking
greatest.
about, and
Yeah,
and it's interesting too. I want to talk about that a little bit because I guess I'm kind of more known for dressing up a little wild now, and that kind of was always there, but when I was like getting fucked up all the time, it was just something I just did because it was like what you had to do in the band. And then when I got sober, I don't know if you ever experienced something like this, but I went through this little minute where I was like, I'm gonna stop doing all this stuff, and then I was like, well, I don't know if I want to even play music anymore because like for me, it was like I would go on stage and all I'd be thinking about was the party after and getting fucked up, and I didn't really care about the show. So
yeah,
then what happened was when I got my shit together, I did a few really uncomfortable tours where I didn't know what to do with my hands, and I was like, everyone was like, "You're
sure.
miserable," and I was like, "Just leave me
Yeah,
alone." But
yeah,
eventually, I was like sitting by myself one day, and I was like, "I'm gonna dress up like Ronald McDonald today," and I just started doing it. And what wound up happening was it wound up being super therapeutic for me. And
yeah,
each character I've done, this one too specifically, is actually really representative of some like really weird and dark moments in my life. And when I put this stuff on, it brings something else out of me. And this
yeah,
mouth thing I've noticed, like anytime I do anything now, I always have to have some elements that make me very uncomfortable because
yeah,
that also brings something weird out of me. And it's just
yeah.
like and it does it on its own. I don't sit there and practice spinning my sticks. Like if I do
Of
that
course
during a
not.
show, it just happens. It's
Of
just like
course.
I can't and I feel like people don't believe that, but you get it.
It, I absolutely, I mean, I believe you. That was what I was like, that's my dude. Because I've seen 1,000 of these people try to do something like that, and he just did it and then went all the way up here with it. And I'm like, he has that brain. There's trauma that's happened in there, and he's having a good time, but something happened, you
Yes.
know? And that's like, I think that's the real ones, where, and it doesn't have to be like oh man, I had a really rough life, and I expressed myself on stage. It doesn't have to be like that at all. Um, there could just be like, hey man, this is where I feel comfortable and I'm going to be free. But there's no sitting in a room going, how do I do this trick? I
Yeah.
want to do this trick and I got to practice it over and over. Like I've never done it in my life.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
you're part of a very small group.
Well, I'm honored to be included in the group by you. It's like I said,
You're,
it's the biggest validation I ever got in my life. So thank you so much for reaching out to me
oh
and for
man,
your friendship and everything.
I
Um,
love you so much, man.
dude, have you watched the Disney movie Soul? You must have seen it.
I don't think so.
Oh, you gotta watch it. Do you ever watch like
Yeah,
Pixar movies like Toy Story and stuff like that?
yeah, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
you got to see Soul. Like Trent Reznor's just won some awards for the soundtrack, and it's like it's a
Oh shit.
but it's not like Nine Inch Nails music. It's like everyone's like,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
how did he do a Disney movie? But he's a very talented person. So
yeah.
you got to watch Soul. It's all about this. It's great.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
so I wanted there. So some people ask some questions. So I have some really great questions here. So um, Jordan Kanata is a buddy of mine who actually I wonder if you know him. He used to play in Adrenaline Mob. You remember that band?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So he also is an awesome drummer that does wild shit. So and it's really crazy watching him because he's lefty. You know this, right? When you're watching a
Yeah, oh
lefty drummer
yeah.
and your
Oh
brain
yeah, they
your
freak
brain's
me
like,
out.
what the fuck's happening? What the fuck's
Yeah,
happening?
totally.
But I
Yeah,
I almost like it in that way even more because it's so weird. It's
yeah.
so different to look at. But so he asked, "Can you both tell me an unlikely, unexpected influence on your drumming? Could be a drummer, a genre, an artist, something that's not related to music, something that people would not expect."
Hmm. I mean, I guess the funnest one was nature being an influence, and then just noise. Like a lot of beats would come out of shit that I would hear in the woods, whether it be like a pine cone fall with your foot hitting the leaf and a bird going by, where it'd be like, I'd be like, and it'd be a triplet thing for me all of a sudden. In my brain, it would just start going. And then beats would come out of that. Like that's really how I try to come up with a lot of beats is, the windshield wiper effect.
Yeah, you just said that, and I started thinking about my windshield wipers. That's really funny.
Yeah, yeah. So anything, it could be that, and then mom gets out of the car and shuts the door. And all of a sudden you've got that.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love that. Yeah, I'm always like, it's it's interesting. Kids nowadays are like, um, kids nowadays are like when they tap and do things like this, people recognize that they might have like attention deficit problems or something like this. And I got diagnosed with that when I was a kid, but my mom was like, "You're not taking the medicine," and I was like, "All right, whatever." And then I would constantly get kicked out of
Yeah.
class for tapping, but like the teacher would be like, "Stop tapping," and I'd be like, "Oh." And then I'd start tapping again, but I wouldn't even realize I was doing it. And they'd be like, "Stop it! Get out of
Yeah.
class!"
Yeah.
And yeah, my brain is just like I don't know if that was ingrained in me or just like a way that because I started playing drums early. I just started playing drums, by the way, to just get out of class for a half hour every week because well, let me tell you,
Yeah.
this is a funny story. Let me tell you a story about like how I became a drummer. I was in second grade and no, third grade, and the music teacher comes in the room and he's like, "Yeah, you could take a music instrument and you get out of class one half hour every week." And I heard that and I was like, I raised my hand and I go, "Which is the easiest thing?" And he goes, "Drums." And I go, "Okay, I'm going to do that." So then I started getting into music about the same time, and for some reason my first musical idol growing up was Bobby Dahl, the bass player from Poison. I don't know why, right? Like,
Yeah, it was
and
cool.
he was cool,
Yeah.
and so my mom after a year or so was like, "Let's get you real music lessons," and I was like, "Okay, but I want to play bass." So she took me to a music school, and there was like this old guy named Frank Marino. It was the Frank Marino Music School, and he was like, "All right, well, I got to teach you the big upright bass," and I was like, "No, man, I want to play this bass like the guy from Poison." And my mom's there, and my mom goes, "Why don't you just play drums?" And I go, "Okay," and that's how I became a drummer.
That's so amazing. That's
Like,
so cool.
and I
We were
totally
just talking about poison like an hour ago too.
really.
Just now, me and my girlfriend were in the car and we were talking about something totally unrelated and about a band that I grew up with, circle that treated us all like shit. And then we ended up, becoming something. And we were playing a festival show in Kansas City, and I heard the guy in the front row of 60,000 people, Morgan, Morgan, and I'm like, look down, and I'm like, oh shit, I know that guy, and no teeth, and all busted up, and
Uh-huh.
I was like, you treated us like shit when we were coming up, and now you're there, and you don't look like you're doing too awesome. So we brought him back, and you know, no, no harm, no foul to us.
Oh
Strange though.
man.
But anyway, they were in a band that was like Poison.
Dude, I
So I said, yeah, they were kind of like Poison.
did you like that stuff? The hair metal stuff?
Oh my God, I was obsessed with it.
Dude, so this blows my mind. And I didn't know that you did some of this, by the way. You filled in for Motley Crue.
Yeah,
So I want to talk about that. Like what is that like? Like you get the so
craziest shit ever.
when you're filling in for a band like that, you're not like this isn't like, oh, you do want to try out to be in this band and like you're doing auditions and going through the process. Like you just got a call that was like, our drummer can't make it for whatever reason. Can you do it? And you're like, yes. And then do you rehearse with them? Well, like, what happens?
Nothing.
What happened?
So this is, I'll cliff note it because it's so brutal. But it's like, so Seven Dust is on tour. We get home, and then like the next day, I'm putting my 1-year-old son in a car, and Tommy Lee calls. I'm like, "What's up?" And he's like, "Dude, are you home?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, when does Seven Dust go back out?" And I said, "We just got home." He goes, "Oh my God, it's perfect, dude. I need you to come to Cincinnati." Like, this is exactly how it's happening. And I'm like, I'm thinking, I said, man, let's pick another date. I think it was to hang out,
Uh-huh.
you know. Let's pick another date. You know, I just got home, and he goes, no, 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 I need you, man. I fucked my hand up. And I'm like, you need me to, for what? You know, he goes, I need you to fill in. I'm like, there's no way. You know, like this is punked or something.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, dude, I'm gonna have our travel agent call you. I'll take care of everything. You know, just please get out here. And I'm like, I make one phone call. Hey, you know, I've got to leave to go play with Motley Crue, and then that's it. I mean, I packed. I said, how long? He goes, pack for 2 weeks because I'm pretty fucked up. So I packed the bag and I went to the airport. I stopped on the way at our warehouse and got my pedals and some sticks. And so I get there and Cincinnati, they pick me up at the airport, bring me to the venue. It's like 6:30, and they're like running around like it's Wall Street. It's like, you know, get him to credentials, get him his pass immediately, you know, because it's the crew fest. They're running a tight ship. I run in there, they take a picture, you know,
Yeah.
hello, you know, take a picture. Like, okay, if you want to change your kit, you know, wait a minute, what? We're not. Where's the? Where's the rehearse? They're like, oh, there's no rehearsal.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, when's the concert? They're like, in like 3 hours. I'm like, what's the set list? You know, the old Dr. Feelgood record. I'm like, I've never heard that record. Like, I never heard it. I've heard Dr. Feelgood, of course, you know, but I don't know what, I don't know the names of these songs. And I'm like, there's sold out. You know, there's 28,000 people all ready to see him spin the fuck around or get on a roller coaster or something,
Did you have
you
to do
know, and
some up in the sky
no,
shit?
hell no. No, they were like, you don't, if you don't want to do that. I'm like, dude, I don't even want to do this. I don't even want to play the shit. I was like, dude, this is the end of my career. You know, like this is, you guys set me up to fucking end my career. So, I mean, I went up to the kit and everything is welded into the riser. And he's like 7 feet. He's like you know, he's like 1,000 feet tall, long arms. And I'm like, dude, I can't reach anything. So they kind of finagled a few things around. Uh, that was the least of my worries. The big thing was I didn't know the songs and I never heard them. So I just ran to the bus and he had video of the show, and we just started writing notes. I don't, I'd be lying if I told you I knew how to chart anything, you know. I mean, at one time in my life, I kind of did. So I was like, this is way too crazy. Let's just do boom, caca, you know, cheer, you know, notes. And they would just put a paper up every song. And he had a microphone and was sitting in a little right next to me behind a curtain. And in my ear, I could be going, and he'd say, okay, here comes the bridge, four on the floor in three, two, one, you know, and then I do that, and he'd go, you nailed it, dude. Okay, halftime coming up. Three, two, one, you know, and I was like, so that was the worst night of my life. I mean, I had my first that I can recall. It was my first real nervous breakdown after that whole thing.
Like after the first show or after the experience as a whole?
Yeah. Yeah. After the first show.
Oh
It was
man.
weird because it was like he was hammered. So we got done, and you know, you hear all these stories about insanity. And we get done, and he goes to the bus, and he goes to bed, and I'm walking around a venue that's completely empty. Nobody's doing anything. And I just sat in this room, and I realized at one point my hand just started going like that.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, and I just fucking fell apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, the adrenaline, the fear, you're putting your kid in a car, and then 16 minutes later, you're in a car on the way to the airport. You're in, you know, I mean, I remember they said download Dr. Feelgood. We're doing the whole Dr. Feelgood record. I brought my computer, and the fucking thing was dead. So I'm sitting there, and this girl walks on the plane, and she goes, "Hey, you're Morgan from Seven Dust." I said, "I am. Do you by any chance have iTunes or any a computer or anything?" She's like, "I do." And I was like, do you have Dr. Feelgood on your phone or anything? She goes, "I don't." And she was trying to download it. She couldn't download it for me. So like I was gonna try and listen to it on the plane, but insane, man.
So how many shows
Yeah.
did you do?
I think I did like 9.
After the
It was
first
super
couple, were you
weird,
okay?
man.
Were you like, all right, I got this?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't do any homework. I should have done a lot more. I should have like sat down and went to class. But I was like, man, I got through the first one and I didn't even know the songs at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know the names of them. So, they seemed pretty happy with that. So I'll just wing it again. And so here I am winging Motley Crue concerts. I kind of showed my true colors of being a fucking moron at that point, but I got through it. And then we went they had a break, and it was weird. Seven Dust had like 3 shows booked. So here I go from this moving, like insanity back to Seven Dust world. I mean, I walk in there and they're looking at, "What's up, dude?" I'm like, "Not much, man. I'm in Motley Crue right now." What are you peasants up to?
Did
And then,
ever did everyone
then
have
I
a
left and I went back to Motley Crue. And then I like went to the Bahamas with Tommy, and then flew back, and then it was over, and he was back to playing with him, and now I'm back in Seven Dust alone. I'm like, "Hey, man." They're like, "Yeah, man, what's up, Mr. Motley Crue?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I decided this is where I need to
Yeah,
be."
yeah. Oh man, that's so great though. Who
Crazy.
can say that they had an experience like that? That's so fucking amazing. And you did Korn as well?
I mean, I set up to do Corn. That was a lot more like they had a little 5-piece in the middle of the bus, and so I sat in there with a few people and just played through the live tracks. And then the day that I was going to play, we were in Corpus Christi, and I woke up going, "Whew, here we go." And Ray called up and he goes, "Dude, I'm going to come back today, man. If everything is cool," because it was a personal, like those. They were thinking they were going to induce labor, I think.
Ah,
Uh, so, and then they said, "No, everything is good. So it's safe for you to go back." And so he came back. I think I was like on the fence of whether I was relieved or bummed,
I think they're so
because that was
good.
that was pretty tough.
They're so they're how I try to explain. I don't know if I told you, but I'm teaching Emma to play drums now, and she's actually like killing it. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and she's like really into like wanting to learn some Korn songs right now, and I'm like trying to explain to her like why, like what, like how she needs to think about it, and it's like, how would you explain the drumming in Korn? Because like I feel like when you listen on the record, it's almost like a little bit more straightforward than like what he's doing, and if you watch him, it's like it doesn't seem too complicated, but it is very intricate and like almost tribal in a way. And then like how would you explain the drumming in Korn?
I mean, it's eras too, you know. It's like this again, I was just talking, well, I actually was talking to Jonathan the other day just for a second, but I was talking to a mutual friend about them and about the drums. And it was like, you know, Dave had, to me, I thought there were some really cool part ideas early on. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of his actual drumming, but as far as the parts were, you know, coming from a place that I just couldn't relate to. So I was like, damn, that's a trip.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ray gets in the band, and he's like, I love him as a person, and it's insane what he can do on the drums. So I was like, oh shit, how do you go from the talent level just went through the fucking roof?
And Terry Bozzio was
And
doing it for a minute too.
Bozio did it. I mean, all that shit was crazy. I mean, to think about, like, again, I'm absolutely not knocking anything. I'm the most average motherfucker there is on the drums. I'm worse than all of them.
I say
But
the same thing about myself.
the level of talent just went crazy to where it's like there is something to be said about that, you know, like if you have Angus Young playing, or you know, playing guitar, you know, in ACDC, and they're like, all of a sudden we're gonna bring fucking Yngwie Malmsteen in to play guitar for ACDC. It's like maybe not the best analogy, but the idea is that we don't need that. You know, I didn't really know what to expect, and Ray just came in, and I was like, "Oh my God, you just fucking made this even insane." I don't know how I would go about doing it. I would pick a different fucking band. I don't want to learn the shit. I learned it that one day. I was like, Jesus Christ, man, this is just way too challenging for me.
Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah, he's an amazing drummer, man.
Yeah, he is.
You've met him before, right?
Yeah, actually, I did, and he was a fan. Like, I didn't expect him to know who I was, and he was a fan of my band at the time, and I
Of
was just
course.
like, it was the coolest thing ever. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, man. He's a great dude.
Yeah, he's nicest
Great
dude.
guy.
So, Kim asked if she said you were one of Joey's drum heroes while he grew up. That's me. What is it like for you to be an idol of younger drummers, and what is your best advice for those who aspire to become musicians, which I think will be interesting given the current musicians climate?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm constantly being told try not to be a grandfather. You know, I remember when we used to walk up, you know, 17 miles in the snow. You know, it's like, um, as far as a musician goes, if it's a band situation, the only advice I've ever given anybody is to try to be in a band with people that you really, really like personally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I mean, it's hard enough. I mean, we've been together 1,000 years, and we love each other, but we absolutely, you know, if we didn't love each other, we'd have been done a long time ago. I mean, you know, it's hard, and then the egos start going on some of these bands, and it's like, man, time is the, you know, click. I mean, it's happening. It's going to be over. This original setup will be done quickly.
Yeah.
So I always just, my own advice is just get with people. Plus, the chemistry is built that way. You know, I mean, it's hard to be original. It's hard to grab, you know, a style that you're all into and go, okay, let's write songs now, you know, and be original about it. I think that it takes that care, that trust, that chemistry of like the freedom of, you know, you do what you want to do, I'll do what I want to do, and we'll kind of like, yeah, that sounds good. I like that. That's my real only, that's the only advice I have.
I feel like there's something to be said about that kind of natural competition, and like when the egos kind of like conflict with one another. I feel like because I experienced this in some of my bands that I've been in, where people just like fall apart and hate one another. But like if you take a step back, if you really think about it and you can focus on harnessing that energy, like it's kind of important. Like if you, but you can get more creative with like how you deal with it, and it's going to come out on stage. Like some of the bands that I had the worst relationships with everyone in the band were the best stage shows, because we all fucking hated each other and we were just like
Oh
going
yeah.
bananas on stage, you know what I mean? But
Oh yeah.
so you got to find that balance. I think that's a really good
Yeah.
point.
I mean, if you're like trying to one up each other in a healthy competition, I mean, there are times where, you know, Clint is like one of my closest, if not my closest, dude on the planet. And it's like, there's definitely times where it's like, he'd be playing Look and he's like, get fucking moving, get your head out of your ass and let's get into, because it's not, again, it's not a contrived thing. So it's like, what am I thinking about that's making me not be in that place,
Hmm.
and he'd be like, where you at? So, yeah, I mean, that's really the only advice. I think that if you're cool, I mean, not everybody can be as lucky as us and like grow up with each other, uh, you know, and be wanting to hang out all the time. Now we don't do that, but I mean, of course you grow up and you have wives and kids and shit like that and things change, but we burned the streets together for a long time.
Hmm. That's how you have to build the foundation for sure.
Absolutely.
So Agnes had a really interesting question. I love when people ask me this. What would you be doing if you were not doing what you're doing? What would your other career path have been possibly?
I mean, I wanted to be in the sports. That
Yeah?
was first. Yeah. It's funny that we went and me and my girlfriend went and ran and stuff, and then we threw the baseball a little bit. She's better at it than me now. I mean, she's fucking younger, man. She's better at everything than me.
I just always stay away from sports because I always hurt myself.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I won't be able to walk tomorrow. Won't be able to move my arms. Like I said, I'm my better half is a gladiator. It's not easy.
What are your favorite sports?
Uh, I like the big four. Baseball, football, hockey, basketball. But I like all this stuff. I mean, I think sports is a huge thing. Especially that. Uh, I mean, it helps in music too. I mean, if you're used to being in a team sport, and having to count on the guy next to you and stuff like that, I brought that mentality into Seven Dust when I put it together for sure.
I love that. Amber asked, she said she's a huge Seven Dust fan and she loves all your albums, and particularly your contribution, Angel's Son, to the totally underrated Lynn Straight. So could you talk about the Straight Up record a little bit?
Yeah, so Mikey put that together.
Mikey
Uh,
Doling?
Mikey Doling. Those guys were without question the most important band to us. That was that thing we talk about of this friendly competition.
Hmm.
I mean, we beat the shit out of each other every night. And nobody, it caused problems for our careers because there weren't a lot of bands that were going after it that hard back then. So nobody wanted to bring either one of us out.
Right.
Like, why the hell you want to bring that band out that really not many people know about, and they're just beating the shit out of everybody that is here. So we said we'll go out together. So they were the most important band to us. They were our closest. We thought that we would be just fuck it. We'll tour together for the rest of our careers.
Yeah.
We'll be one band. Like two time slots, one band. Uh, but so when he passed away, that was like, again, it was a long time ago. So we hadn't been through a lot of death. It was catastrophic.
Yeah.
Um, so when Mikey came in with that, we were like, absolutely. There were people that were involved at that that I look back on it now, and I guess maybe me and some of the people I won't name should have let them off a little bit. But I looked at people like, you get some attention off of a dude that hated your fucking band or hated you.
Hmm.
I mean, there were a number of people that were involved, not in the record, but like the video and stuff.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I remember sitting in the back of the bus and me telling me he knocked your fucking ass out.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you get paying your respects here, but we were really tough on everything back then. Kind of territorial.
Of
This
course.
is our guy.
Yeah.
Um, so we went in to do that. Clint had written it. He had written the riff, and I think that I can't remember exactly how the vocals went down. I know that when we went in there, it was funny because Sonny Mayo got all the groove. Um, so we were like sitting in there. Clint wrote his vocal part. LeJean wrote that chorus line and started writing the words to the verses. I was sitting in a room and we're all jamming. Sonny Mayo's in there and I'm playing. And literally, Sonny, I'll never forget it. He looks at me, he goes, "What if it's like something like boom, 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 da, da, boom, boom, boom?" And I was like, "Well, I like that." A lot of people love that beat. I'm not even sure if I ever gave him credit for that until now. I didn't come up with that beat. That was fucking Sonny Mayo.
Dude, for me that was the standout track on that record. Was that the only single from that record that you guys did a video for?
Yeah,
Ah.
yeah,
Yeah, dude. I mean, that was
yeah,
I was probably I think I was 18 when he passed away, and that hit me hard as a fan. They Snot in particular had been really cool, taking me in as a fan and kind of like nurturing my little like insanity and like taking me on the bus and showing. I always just wanted to be
yeah,
around musicians and stuff, and they were so cool, and like Lynn was so cool, and
yeah.
that hit me really hard. But it actually like kind of really tunneled me into all these other bands that like I remember at one point they had replaced Jamie with this guy Shannon, and I was like, well, who's this guy? And then
Yeah.
he's also one of the best drummers ever. And yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for honestly, if it wasn't for you and those guys, I mean, I don't think I'd be who I am today. I don't know what I would be. I'm
That's
not a
pretty
great drummer,
flattering, man.
so I probably yeah.
You're
Oh,
very you are a great drummer.
I'm not.
The
So back.
beauty of you is that you got all the fucking groove and you do all that shit. And
Well,
I'm like,
you know,
that's crazy.
I it's interesting you should say that because um I play more like industrial music along to like programming and like a lot of the stuff that I play, the drums are still on tape. Like the band people are just like, just play over it. And I'm like, so I gotta like figure out how to play on a click, bring groove to drums that are mechanical without not hitting them at the right time, you know? So
Sure.
so it's been challenging, but I like to feel like I specialize in being able to do that. So I'm glad that you noticed that. Thank you.
You're amazing at it, man. I mean, again, it's stuff that I'm envious of.
No. Dude,
Oh,
we did
big time.
weren't we talking once about doing some kind of a little like thing together?
It'd
Like
be unreal.
we should do it. We should do it. I was thinking about it today
It
in the
would be
shower.
unreal. Yeah, I mean, it would be, yeah. We
One
also talked about me dressing up all crazy.
Yes. Yeah, we did. What we're I feel like we were talking about like a DJ thing. I feel like we also talked at one
Yeah.
point about like asking Tommy for like this roller coaster drum set situation.
Give us one of those things. Yeah.
Fuck,
Yeah.
man. We got to talk about that and do something one day. I would love to do that. Even if we do like some like cool, like I would love to come up with some kind of a cool like clinic-y kind of show thing where we could just travel around and do like silly little drum offs like together and then like fucking go bananas and
If
just
I mean, it's something we should really, really talk about and do. And then I could, really go into the next stage of my life and I can turn into somebody that's really disturbing to look at.
let's do
This
it.
is pretty bad as it is, but I can make it worse, trust
No,
me.
I'll make you beautiful. So I got one last question from one of my homies, and I'll let you go. Stefan said, I would like to know which countries are your favorite to play and why, and which you have never played but are on your bucket list, and maybe one of the craziest venues you've ever played, if you can wrap that all up into one.
Okay, so Australia is my favorite.
Okay.
That is unbelievable support over there. We're probably bigger over there. Um, the people are as sweet as can be. The scenery and the country itself, I mean, it's just
Yeah.
unbelievable. Um, but I mean, I like going to Europe too. I mean, we're not as popular there because we didn't commit. But obviously, going to a different place every day is pretty unreal. Austria is the most beautiful place that I've ever been.
Yeah. It's one of my favorites too.
Um, Bucket list stuff is like we've never played Russia.
Oh,
We've never
no
played,
way.
yeah, never played it.
That's one of my favorite
And
places
I'm
to play.
like, yeah, and everybody's like, dude, that's like the spot. I was like, never been there. Yeah.
That's so weird.
So,
Like I can connect you with
yeah.
your booking agent must know some promoters over there. It's like no one cares. You know what?
Yeah.
You know what it is? I don't know if you know this, but like a lot of bands don't go there because they don't sell merch over there because there's no bootlegging laws and everyone just like doesn't buy merch and you don't make
Yeah.
money in that way. So everyone just kind of goes to do it for fun. And
Yeah.
so there's a lot of bands that don't do it for that reason, but it's worth it, man. It's like fucking everyone there is beautiful and loves to party. It's great.
It's so wild. It's like, I think the most insane place we ever played was Poland.
That's you
And
get a Russian vibe there for sure.
and it was like they told us before we ever walked in the venue, like, we met some kids out in the back and they were so excited to say, you do know that this will be the most insane crowd you'll ever play for in your life. And I was like, oh, yeah? I mean, we've played some crazy ones. And they're like, nothing like here. You've never been here. And we've been waiting. I was like, oh, damn. And we went in and it was the craziest shit. And then we never went back.
Dude,
It's like
I just I just
Seven Dust 101.
I just figured out what
Looks
we're
like,
gonna. Me and you are gonna do our crazy drum clinic drag show tour in Russia.
dude,
I'm gonna make it
that'd be
happen.
amazing.
I'm gonna make it
That'd
happen.
be, it'd be awesome.
Let's do it. Fuck, man. Dude,
We got to do this for real.
we gotta. We absolutely have to. And I'm not just
Let's
saying
for
that.
real start. Yeah, let's start seriously talking about it, and then we'll start talking about some DJs and see what they want to bring if they want to get involved.
I know some guys already, like right off the top of my head. Yeah, let's
Okay.
start planning it. I don't know when we're both
All
gonna.
right.
I know as everything's opening up, it's gonna be really crazy. But like, I think we could probably
We can
figure it
make it
out.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There, everyone heard it here first. We're gonna fucking go on tour together. I love it.
that would be amazing. You know it.
Oh man, I can't wait. I can't wait to see you again, dude. I miss you so much.
You too, man. I
It,
miss you too, man.
it's been so nice to look at your beautiful smiling face for the past hour and a half. And
Ditto.
dude, thanks so much for doing this. And this is, your friendship again is something I cherish into my afterlife and my next lives. And I love
Same
you
here,
so much.
buddy.
So
I love you too, man. I miss you to death, and when we hang this thing up, we'll reconvene and we'll start figuring out when we're gonna do that craziness.
for sure, man. Okay, well, I love you. And
I love you too, and thank you to all your people. Thank you for
yes.
introducing me to them.
Yeah, no problem. And now I'm gonna make this public, and then I'm gonna promote it so everyone can watch it a little bit more after, like all the people
Awesome.
outside the community. So I'll let you know when it's up, and I love you, and I'll talk to you again soon.
I love you, buddy.
All right, bye.
Bye, bud.
All right, everybody. Yay! That was so much fun. Here, let me go back to this view. So thanks everyone for hanging out once again. Had a couple little video and audio hiccups in there, but that was the first time I ever did that with someone on a phone. So now I know it generally works pretty good. So we can do that from now on if we need to, which is good to know because there's going to be times when I'm on tour and stuff, and you know, it's not always. When coming out of this pandemic, everything's starting to open up again, and we'll have there's going to be more guerrilla stuff happening kind of on the road without the best conditions and stuff. So yeah, thank you guys once again for hanging. I have to pee so bad. I'm gonna go. I already know who I'm gonna have on for next month. It's someone that's it's someone that's so easy for me to have on. That's like at the top of my list that I just kind of have been saving for a special moment. And they're gonna be on because they have something coming up that I want to talk about with them here with you guys. So I'm going to announce that soon. Just so you guys know, I have to do a little bit of top secret traveling to somewhere very special this week. So I normally have our hang in the first weekend of each month. I'm not going to be able to do it this month. I'm going to be a little off the radar for a few days, but I promise you that you will be very, very happy with the results of why I am being off the radar. And yeah, so thank you guys all again for hanging out with me. Thank you for liking me enough to, I don't know, pay attention to me, because my cats are pretty sick of me. All right, I love you all, and I'll see you soon.